Hello to you once again. Of course, a big weekend in politics as these political parties are on a last-minute drive to get South Africans to vote for them come the elections on Wednesday. Of course, a reminder, there are those special votes which are taking place on Monday and Tuesday as well. So a number of political parties, the DA in Bella, as you saw before we went to a break there, the ANC holding its Siyanqoba rally, of course, which is the final one. That's, of course, at the FNB Stadium here in Johannesburg, and the EFF's Chelatupa rally, which is taking place in Polokwane as well. We've got all of those covered. Busa as well is also holding theirs, and we'll try to cross to our colleague Calvin Dludla in just about a moment with regard to that. But I want to talk about this big weekend and bring in SABC political editor Mzwandile Mbeje. Mzwai, it's what my colleagues have been saying. It's big stadia, it's thousands of supporters and members. Yeah. But the real question is, does all of this translate into votes? I guess we'll only know once the results come in. But this election being touted as one of the most important since 1994. Talk to us a bit about that. And I want to talk about what's happening today. Yeah. The EFF and the ANC on the same day. Yeah. Who's going to speak? When? What's going to happen?
Yeah, no, certainly. Remember, election and campaigns and politics is also about optics, Griselda.
Yes.
So it's very important if you are then able to fill that stadium. So you do then convey that message to the South African public that you are supported, and so people are likely to follow that which is being followed by the others. So clearly it matters most. And then also not only the stadium, but we must also be able to get those people to go and vote. Not only those at the stadium, but you must be able to convince everyone so to go out and vote. So in that way, it does somehow play into the mind of the voter. But of course, you asked about times and all those things. Yeah. And I guess the stadium will also give an indication in terms of who is speaking now, because you don't want to speak to an empty stadium, especially because you chose the stadium, so you wanted to show and then let it be full, and then you'll be able then to do that. But I suspect from 12, that's when the program starts, and then probably from 12 right up until 3, so we'll be able to really get a sense of what exactly is happening. But and it's not only those two, there are also the smaller ones that are also having their rallies, and then of course the big two again tomorrow, which will have their own final rallies.
That's correct.
Is the IPNDA
and the Democratic Alliance indeed. But it all boils down to support. It all boils down to that mark on the ballot paper. If we look back to the past general election, the ANC was at what, 57%? Yeah. The DA 21, and then the EFF at 10.8. Yes, 10.8. It boils down to that at the end of the day. If we look at the offering, for example, of these top 3 political parties, was there anything new that was said to South Africans? At this hour, there could be somebody who is undecided about what they will do. So these last-minute pushes are very important.
They're very important, especially these speeches, these final speeches. We've had, in terms of promises, if you look at most of the promises, so we're quite familiar with the promises. Yeah. We've been having the issue of load shedding. Everyone is promising to end it. There's the issue of jobs. Everyone is promising to create jobs, and those kinds of things bring better service delivery. So, but the fact of the matter is that who is then more believable in terms of doing this? Who has capacity to do that? Because sometimes you must also sit as a voter and just look and really decide who is the one that I can trust with my vote. So clearly, it's very good that we have a democratic system like ours, where every 5 years, South Africans on their own make their own decisions based on what has happened or what has not happened. So clearly, on the 29th of May, Griselda, South Africans will tell us exactly who is more believable than the rest.
You're a political editor and not an analyst, but I have to ask, you can't discount the new kid on the block, which is the MK party. This is someone that was within the governing party of the past 30 years. He knows the ins and outs of the party. He led the party. He led the country through his party, of course. And it too, I think it is in Upongolo. It's just one of the areas that I remember where they've also made inroads in KwaZulu-Natal. The other just slips my mind, but you can't discount the impact that MK might have. Possibly also in KwaZulu-Natal, given that the EFF was the political party that took its manifesto launch to KwaZulu-Natal with the hopes of putting its grip in KwaZulu-Natal.
Okay, I think here's the issue with the issue with MK. The fact of the matter is that so it is a factor, and then it will affect the political situation that is happening.
The landscape.
One of the reasons we are speaking about the ANC perhaps dipping below 50 or maybe just scraping through is because of the impact that the MK may have. Remember, as you have correctly said, former President Zuma was part of the ANC. Oh, by the way, he still remains the member of the ANC.
Yes.
Because nothing has been finalized in that respect. So, and there's a lot more people who were in the ANC who have decided to follow him. So that will somehow affect the ANC. But not only is the ANC that will be affected.
Yes.
Remember when he came into power as president, particularly in the province of KZN that you've just mentioned, the votes there, yes, the ANC was generally on the ascendancy, but with him, so they just shot up. So that vote, which could be ascribed to him, could possibly, even from the IFP, move towards him. On the EFF did so well in KZN, and part of it, remember, there's a lot of disgruntled voters of the ANC who probably felt, maybe let's also loan our vote to the EFF. So somehow the EFF could be affected. So no one will be kind of like safe, particularly when we look at how the MK will do. And even if you look at surveys, if it will be able to really make that significant inroad. So it's taking basically from all the parties, maybe to the ANC a bit more.
All right, so I will come back to you very shortly.